now because COVID, no one's buying into it.
Hold on. Watch your words. We're live now.
Yeah,
No,
Hit
you're
that
good. You're
I saw
good,
intro.
man. Say
I
what you
saw the
need to.
light go on, and that's when I went, oh, because I just said that
They've
word
kind of
about
backed
the
off of
poop.
that shit a little bit now. Unless we like totally rail on it, we're not gonna
Yeah, we'll hit the algorithm if we do it a couple
Yeah,
times.
we
That's
just
right.
gotta be careful. But we're talking about AI and that all ties in.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Absolutely. And it was time to go live anyway. I was just kind of rambling, but you're right. We should
No
have
worries,
went
man.
live.
I
We
figured
should have went
just go
live five
live when
minutes
you
ago with
ranted.
what we were talking about here. So,
Yep.
welcome, guys. This is Skull Island. Welcome. We are live. Share this out. Share this out. Share this out. Right.
Yes.
Today you can see that AI and Skynet. And this is what we're talking about. And this is what we can continue the conversation because it's all part of. Well, first thing I want to say is this: the new evolution of the devil. Right. First, it was the devil. The devil became Lucifer, and then we had computers, and now all of a sudden the devil is the AI god. There was
Yeah.
no AI god until we had AI, and then all of a sudden the devil moved into AI, and so now everybody's concerned that the AI programs are going to go rogue, which they already have more than once.
They were made to go rogue because
Yeah.
the AI programs are based on the people that are programming them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they were meant to go rogue. But I missed our intro. We didn't. I missed that intro. We didn't punch the
Oh,
intro up.
no worries. We can still play it, man. We're just talking right now, but yeah, we're just
Right. Yeah.
We'll
let's
work.
let
All
some
right.
people enjoy
Hey,
it.
haven't you seen television? They do 10 minutes and then they
Yeah, we're
play
doing a
the
little.
intro for
We're doing a
shows.
little
No,
monologue.
Pre-show.
All righty.
Pre-show show.
That'll work. That'll work.
right? I know. They do. All right.
Welcome.
Hola.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I love that intro. So it gets me all jacked up for the show. So now that we got
You know
that,
what?
we're
One of the
good.
things I was doing prior to going live was I actually ripped that intro from one of the shows that I had downloaded that we did about a month ago, and I ripped it right out of the intro to the show, and now I have it. So I didn't have time to put it into the StreamYard program yet, but I do have it. So if you guys ever need me to host the show, I can do it on my
Nice.
end because now I have the intro. And then any other
Nice.
memes that you guys want me to have to put up, like I can put the
Come on.
the one
That's
up here
awesome.
on the screen right here in front. Instead of having the StreamYard, I can put our I have that already, right? So I can put that right up in here, and then I can do the background as well. So we
5
can
viewers right now.
yeah. So just know going forward that I can do that. So if you guys want me to host it, just let me know and I can fucking do that because I'm still paying those yahoos. I just paid them, as a matter of fact, for a whole year, right? So okay, so AI, and I met these guys. It was so funny when I was selling computers. These two guys were in line and they were computer programmers and they were working on AI, trying to get independent AI. In fact, the two of them were trying. One was trying to build an AI algorithm that is basically a human brain in the computer, and his buddy was telling him that it wasn't possible. And the two of them, you know how these people who think they're intelligent, and they turn and they look at somebody who's standing behind a register, not knowing I was the manager of the store, and they decided, well, let's ask this guy to see if this guy has any opinion. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? And so they told me, and I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't tell them my background, right? So
Right.
I went, oh, okay. Well, here, let me tell you why that's not possible. I said, and I went into details of we just do not have the computer capacity or capability at this time. This was probably 15 years ago now. And it won't be around for at least 20, 25 years, even with the compounded way that exponentially our computer programs and algorithms are progressing to make an actual human brain. It just can't happen. Okay.
Right.
And this is why. And I went into all the details. And as I was doing that, they both stopped dead and realized that I actually understood, there's that word again, what was going on. Comprehended. And I actually knew as much about computers and programming as they did. And the one guy looked at me and went, "Where did you go to school?" And I was like, oh, okay. So if I didn't go to some highfalutin hoity-toity Ivy League, then you think that I don't know anything. Where'd you guys go? Stanford? I'm like, we're in California, on the island of Alameda. So you either went to Berkeley or Stanford. I'm like, because otherwise you wouldn't be walking in here buying computer components. And I said, so you don't need to know where I went to school. You're the ones that are trying to work on this. And neither one of you actually have a clue what you're talking about. And let me tell you why. And I went into that and they were like, "Why do you work here?" And I'm like, for the same reason that you haven't figured out yet, but you will. That as soon as that information that you have, you start kicking upstairs, the government's going to take it from you and weaponize it. So if you want to go to work for the government and be evil, that's selling your soul to the devil, by the way, you can go ahead and do that, but you're not getting any secrets out of me. And they were like, and one guy was like, "I fucking told you." And he was trying to warn his buddy. It was hilarious. He's like, I fucking told you. And he's like, "I'll bet you've worked for the government before." And I said, "I can neither confirm nor deny that." I said, "But what I can tell you is that I know exactly what they will do to your program, and they'll turn it into a weapon immediately."
Well, see, I used to have back in 2003, 2004, I was selling this iLock, which is a biometric identification to get into your computer system.
Yep.
It was developed in 97, 98 by a friend of mine for the DoD and for the development of the Eurojet fighter and all that kind of shit. They had engineers in 11 countries, 3 continents that were all working, and everybody had a little different piece of it, and nobody could access it without their biometric information. Well, they got bought out by another company, and they basically kicked everybody of the original crew out, and basically they took it over. And so the guy who developed this whole damn thing spent the last 15 years topping off trees. He was a lumberjack. I mean, this guy developed biometric, security, and now he's a lumberjack. So, if they want to screw you over, they will screw you over.
Yep.
They
Not
will.
a joke.
And they generally will. Those all those guys, I've seen 3 or 4 different versions of motors that run on water. And 2 of those guys I know ended up dead. Another one sold his patent and they never did anything with it. And the other guy just shut up after they told him, if you don't shut up, you'll die. And so you haven't heard a damn thing from him. So,
Yep. Well, that's like that.
Yeah, all these guys are using like cold fusion too. That's what, and where you notice it's being suppressed. It's actually supposedly, I mean, I'm not somebody who's done any deep research on it, but from what I've heard, nuclear power is actually very efficient and very safe in a lot of ways. But, they're of course going to demonize the 1 or 2 incidents that have happened.
Well, the thing is that the breakdown and the radioactivity of it is long term. Now, nuclear fusion is different than nuclear fission. The cold fusion that you're talking about, they're actually nuclear fission, and they're working on that. That's what the center of the sun, and that's absolutely fantastic. Fusion breaks things down and has to have very large, unstable, radioactive isotopes, and so the waste.
Cold fission, which is what those scientists claim that they had in the 90s, but they couldn't repeat it. Remember that? But they couldn't repeat it.
I remember
that was the problem. Was they fudged the numbers, but they knew they were onto it, which they were. But they couldn't repeat it over and over again, and so therefore everybody laughed them. The media laughed them out of.
But I'll bet they did something with the equipment just to make sure that they couldn't repeat it, or they actually fudged it to make sure that they cleaned it. Yeah, because they can't have.
Sabotaged.
Yeah. Well, we have world wars that were started just to, control the energy in the world. So
I was told that the engine that runs on nothing. Okay, they have already. Okay, let me put it this way. When Star Trek, when they walk up to the wall and they tea Earl Grey hot, and it just materializes out of nothingness.
Yeah.
they have one of those machines in real life, and you can make anything you want to make out of it, food, whatever.
Okay? Yeah, you just give the right material, and it will, create your own.
It takes the material. No, that's the thing. It takes the material out of the universe itself. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So it reaches outside of time into the fabric of time-space, and it transmutes the energy of the universe into something solid in this reality. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So basically using that magnetic electricity.
So basically, yes. So basically, it's like using plasma. That would be the closest thing I could tell you, but more of electromagnetic waveform. In fact, as they disappear, where did they go?
Pop them back in and out.
So electromagnetic. Oh, he clicked on it. You clicked in, and I clicked you out. Sorry.
Yeah. So that was
electromagnetic waveform. Is the closest I can explain to you how that works. But you're onto it. But
that would be Tesla's. That would be Tesla's 369.
That's where Tesla's. Yes.
Yeah.
So they're using a form of that, but they've already had this back in the 80s. Okay. So if you create an engine that runs on basically nothing, there's a signature that they scan the world for constantly, all day, every day. If you build a machine that is a perpetual machine that will continue to run forever, just like
they will
the
close you down forever.
Talking about, they will come and kill you and take it from you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
they'll make sure that anybody that knew you and knew anything about that will also disappear.
Correct.
That cannot be continued. They must control the energy on the planet.
Yes, and that's the truth. That is the truth. Now, and so there's algorithms, getting back to tying it into the AI, independent AI that does that. So that's why the movie Tron, back in the 80s, was a concept, because the truth was the people who invented that storyline were looking into the future and realizing that eventually there's going to have to be a program that is going to have to watchdog all programs, because otherwise, like we are using the Skynet version here. Otherwise, the MCP program, that's what they called it there in that movie.
Master Control Program.
Master Control Program will get into everything and decide that it was become sentient and decide that it was.
What do you think, Elon?
Smart cities.
What do you think? What do you think? Elon's Neuralink is for? That's so that the AI can hack into your brain more quickly. Because if you think you're going to interact with it, it already knows the human programming, already knows how to hack. It just needs it, and it will process everything, and it.
I would even go further and say, even with all that technology, most people's brains are already hacked.
Yes,
they don't even need the chip.
They're already sheep. They're already sheep. They're already submissive.
Psychologically, they're already
television.
They're already compliant. Television programming, right there.
Right, I just downloaded an image. Let me see if I can find it here. I'll share screen. It was one of the guys, Peter from my second group, not Peter from Ireland, but Peter from South Africa.
Yeah.
And he downloaded this. Hold on, let me see if I can find it here. Here we go. It's in the computer, and I'm gonna try and, because I don't already have it open. Let me just open it, and it'll be easier to share screen. So hold on, let me do that. So we'll just continue to talk, and I'll load it right here in a second. I'll open it, and then I'll go ahead and share screen and show it to you. Let me open it up here, and it says exactly that. I'll show you, and it's probably everybody's seen it, but either way, once it opens here, I'll show you what I'm talking about, because it says everything, and it's true. There is no lie to what is being said here. And my computer's being slow trying to open it now. Okay, so now that it's open, let me move it so I can get into StreamYard and share my screen.
There you go.
And let's see. No. There we go. Hold on now. There it is.
All right, so
let's put that up full. Right, and then can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
I can see it, but I can't read it.
Okay, so I'll read it to you. Right, it says, "What if I told you television is the monster in your home, and it's called programming for a reason? Your television is nothing more than an electrical mind-altering device. It has been designed to psychologically change the way you view reality.
Now, isn't that basically what they used to call it, the boob tube, for so many years?
Yeah, because it turns you into
They
a
used to
boob.
say it'll rot your brain. Remember that?
Yep, and it does.
Yep.
And it does.
The truth's always been out there. You just have to listen.
Right.
People don't want to listen to it. Yeah. I'm going to just steep my tea in just a minute. Actually, one thing that I was going to ask you, Leo, this right here is called uña de gato, which I would translate as cat's claw. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's for arthritis, arthrosis, bone pain and aches and that sort of stuff. So I was trying to figure out what name that was in English, because I've been trying to.
No, I'm not sure. Hold on, hold that up to the screen again. I'm gonna put you on full screen.
So this is uña de gato. It's just this filament, this fabric. Whereas everything else that I have are leaves, but this is just filaments. It's really bizarre. It looks like hay.
Yeah,
that is pretty bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
And it's the dust of it is kind of orange, actually. But
I'll have to figure that out, because if it's called that, you should be able to punch it into Google and it should tell you what it is, even in your Portuguese.
And I'll tell you what it was, because the guy sent me the description of it. So hold on, we got uña de gato. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps treat gastritis, throat pain, immune system, arthritis, and arthrosis. No, because the guy from the natural.
I think you just Googled it.
Told me no. He gave me what each one of the things that are in my list of 8 different teas that were put together, what each one of them did individually or was known for, right? So the other one, funcho, which is seeds, that one was for your gastric cramps and. Let's see. I lost it. Okay. Cramps, diarrhea, excess gases, muscle relaxants, and abdominal pain. So that's the funcho, which is those little seeds, which I didn't show you, but that's another one. So I was trying to figure out both of those in English so I could tell.
Well, it sounds like.
I wanted to tell Ariel what it was, because she's been having problems with reflux and that sort of stuff, and so I wanted to be able to recommend a couple of teas.
I'll have to look into it, because I have a few things that I know that like Boswellia root. That might be what you have there, which is the cat's paw or cat's claw. That might be Boswellia, but I'll have to look it up and find out, because it has the same properties and it's a root, and that's what that fibrous stuff looks like. It looks like a root complex, but not a really big one. It's a small plant. So,
but that doesn't feel like a root. It feels more like a chopped up bark or bark of a really fibrous tree.
Well, then it could be bark too, because there's a couple of different barks, and I'm trying to remember.
Could be a fungus too.
Like rootin.
No, it's not a fungus.
Rootin is the bark of the pineapple tree.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it could be rootin, and it does the same thing.
Okay.
Unless you're allergic to pineapple, you can take it, and it helps with exactly what you're talking about with arthritis and all of that stuff. So, and cramps and that kind of stuff. Because I used to take that and Boswellia extract because of that, and they both help your joints and inflammation in your body. And if you take those two, and rootin, that, and one other thing, it's the same as taking a CBD. Only it's all natural. Well, the CBD is natural as well. So it's the same as taking morphine or a ibuprofen or something like that, or oxy. It's the same thing, and it has none of the side effects because it wasn't made by a pharmaceutical company.
It's not processed, industrialized garbage. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to boil my water.
My sister was addicted. She's an addict. Most of my family is. Let's be serious. We're Irish. We're addictive personalities, right? I mean, most people are. It doesn't matter the race, but. So she was taking painkillers as a something just in case, and I'm like, that's a drug addict. Drug addicts do that. I might feel pain, so I better take these. So now when she has pain, she has a super high tolerance to it, which saved her life when they had her intubated, and they were trying to talk the family into letting her die. She would, because the nurses who were going against the doctor's orders would loosen up the restraints on my sister. When the doctor would come in, the doctor would tighten them, and then when the doctor left, they would loosen them again. And she was able to, without having her hands completely free, pull out the freaking thing out of her throat and fight them. And I was like, why were you guys trying to stop her when you want her to wake up, don't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why are you restraining my sister and keeping her from helping herself wake up?
Because they'd make money off her.
You give her more drugs to make her pass out, but you're trying to get her off the machine? That doesn't make sense. That's like saying I'm loading my gun and I'm cocking it and I'm pointing it at you, but I really don't want to shoot you. And now I'm pulling the trigger. It don't move.
But I don't want to shoot you. Yeah,
exactly. I don't want you to die, and I'm afraid to shoot you, and I don't want to shoot you. Well, then why are you loading the gun and pointing it at me and cocking and pulling the trigger if you don't want to shoot me? You've made the decision. So same thing. So luckily for my sister, and she was like, I don't know how I pulled that thing out. And I'm like, I've heard stories from many nurses, and every single person who is a full-blown alcoholic or full-blown drug addict, because they do one or both, have a high tolerance. And when they put you on all that medicine, normal people stay in a coma. Other people who are addicted to alcohol or drugs or both come out of it when no one's looking, because they have a high fucking tolerance to drugs.
I've got a high tolerance for everything I've done, but I'm taking my teas right now. I'll be right back.
So my sister didn't die, and then luckily my niece was like, fuck you, I'm not letting my mom go. And because her mother is still around, that was like 4 or 5 years ago, right? It wasn't even during COVID. It was before that, when she got pneumonia and she has COPD. But they, of course, the doctors are, they make more money off you. If you've signed a donor card, the algorithm's waiting for you to get in the hospital so they can harvest your body.
Yep.
Well, and I think we don't need to be as afraid of it as it's being pushed out there sometimes too, because I think that at deeper levels, higher levels, whatever you want to say, levels that we don't see very much of, we do get glimpses. Yes, there are very sophisticated machines like that, but I think you can relate AI now. I mean, it's more sophisticated now, but it's similar to a chess computer, or when you're playing the computer on a video game.
Yeah,
it's just going through certain scenarios and picking the best one it thinks.
Right.
Yep.
It's just another algorithm, and that's the whole thing. Is it can be used for the wrong reasons. It's already being used for the wrong reasons.
In Tron, how Tron had it on overload, right?
Yeah.
Or not Tron, but Flynn. And then, of course, the whole premise of the movie was they were working on a laser that would make things go into the computer and then come back out. So, but what Flynn did was he challenged the MCP program and gave him a few computations that were impossible in our mathematics to solve. And that would stick the algorithm. And he was like, what's the matter, MCP? You can't solve a simple, unsolvable problem? And then the MCP, of course, used the laser behind him and brought him into the computer system and made him a computer program and brought him in there. But he was still a user, which in their world is a god. And he was able to eventually save that universe and then this one because of it. But that was the premise of the movie. So the truth is, like you're saying, it's just a program. All you have to do is give it an unsolvable problem like calculate pi to the nearest digit.
Yeah. Yep.
Without the parameters of after you get past 7 times of nothing to just add 3s for infinity and put the symbol there. Actually calculated. And that computer program will sit there and go, does not compute, because it'll work on it and get stuck, and all of its systems will be trying to calculate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
AI can be tricked.
There are some pretty
for the same way that humans can be tricked for hubris.
Like,
I've got AI was created by humans.
We are our
TV, all that TV programming. It all works as an AI. I mean, the backstage, behind the scenes, they're running. They're doing studies on who's watching what. I mean, they used to have the Nelson families.
Yeah.
So I always
Nelson's for 2 years.
Oh, yeah?
One of the people that carried around that little freaking pager. And every now and then if you're watching television and something happens on the computer system or the program goes down and you see the symbol of whatever channel you're on and there's a tone to that symbol is being broadcast on every single channel there is, including on radio and everywhere, and including right now on StreamYard. They have their own. so that people know when they're recording, because I could be doing the same thing on the internet, that it's StreamYard. So StreamYard has their logo right now behind our signal, and there's some tone that is their tone. And the one like for NBC, because they always screw up, the peacock comes up and theirs goes dung dung dung.
Yeah.
Dung dung dung.
Yeah.
Dung dung dung. That's their tone. It's not exactly, but it does that. It goes up, up, down, right? And that's what that tone is. And what happens is that little pager they give you to carry around, it picks up that tone behind all the other signals, and it knows what channel you're watching on the television, what you're listening to on the radio, and if you're on the computer, they want you to hook it up to your speakers so it can pick up the same tone that's on everybody's channel, whatever website you're on, whatever search engine you're on. Every company on the planet has a signal behind the signal. What makes you think, people, that they haven't gone back to doing what they did in the 70s, and they do this product placement now, but they used to use subliminal messages, and that became illegal. However, now that you can use propaganda against people, who's to say they're not back to subliminal messages that you don't know that are there all the time that are happening? I have really good vision, and I catch shit that other people don't catch. When something flashes on the screen, I go, whoa, what was that? And I go back and go frame by frame, and I catch shit and go, what is that? That is not supposed to be in this video at all. And here's something that's not there. That happens a lot. It happens in movies. It happens all over, but it's easier to just product place your ass. Just like you see the StreamYard thing over here, right on the screen the other way, over there in the corner, over there just above them. They have that stuff in the background. They used to teach in the 70s and 80s. You could go in a college and you could learn in a class how to recognize and combat the subliminal messaging and all the advertising messaging. And the companies, corporations, sued the federal government to have that shut down, and that is no longer being taught anywhere on the planet.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Of course they did. Well, that's why there's people like us busting through all the bullshit, showing everybody at least what we know. I mean, we're still learning too. So as we learn, we'll let you know.
Right, and that's the truth. I mean, all we can do, I just said this to somebody yesterday that I was working with, all we can do is learn, right? There's that learn, teach, learn. That first, to become a teacher, you have to be a student. And to be a student, you have to be a teacher. So you have to have all aspects. I was literally just listening to the Law of One today, which I'll be talking about on Friday. In the session that I'll be talking about either this Friday or next Friday, because it was session 5 and 6, and we're on, I think, the end of 3 going into 4. So if we make it into that, I'll be talking about that. And literally in there, Ra says in there, and this is just the same as the Tao Te Ching, the same as the Buddha, the same as everyone else, even Jesus, that in order for you to actually learn to teach, or to teach to learn, or to fix yourself, is that you have to fix your mind and your body, right? Everybody, free your mind and your ass will follow. That's a song from the 80s. Yep. Free your mind and the ass will follow. Although when it's not live, they say the rest will follow. Right? Just like in The Man in the Box by Alice in Chains, he says, I'm the man in the box, sitting in my...
Oh, I hate it when they do that to that song too. When
they take that sitting in my spit.
Shove my nose in shit.
Shove my nose in spit, and it's...
They say spit. I'm like, oh, come on.
And shove my nose in shit. And what he means by that is not, I'm literally sitting in... Well, it could mean I'm sitting in my own shit, but it means I'm sitting in my shit, my stuff.
Yep.
Okay? And then shove my nose in shit is the same thing. Rub my nose in it is what he's saying, not literally like a dog where you stick the dog's nose in shit, but he's being treated. He says, I'm the dog that gets beat.
Like a dog,
Like a dog, okay? So the whole thing is, I am in a box, I am stuck, right? And that's what he's talking about in the song. And at the end, what is the meaning of the end? I should do a whole show just on these songs that you and I have talked about, right, all the time on here, that we've all talked about, and break them down for people. At the end, you think, you're not sure. This figure cloaked with a hood up is walking around, and you're not sure if that's the devil at first, but then you realize he's wearing brown. That is the Padawan learner Friar Tuck costume that everybody wears when you become an initiate in the Catholic Church. And then when you get baptized, you're in that. You get baptized in that because Jesus was wearing that when he got baptized by John the Baptist. So if you're to become a Christian, you're supposed to be wearing that and get baptized with that on, that Friar Tuck Brown with the white robe. So you realize that's what this person has on. And when he walks up at the end, remember, they're talking about Jesus Christ, and the ego keeps talking, right? He says, Jesus Christ. And then the ego talks, deny your maker. And then he's saying, can you sew my eyes shut? Please sew my eyes shut. Please save me. When Jesus shows up, he pulls back his hood and his eyes are sewn shut. But he was walking around and not crashing into anything.
Yeah, it was a cool video.
His third eye was open.
Really dark and all everything's like in sepia tone.
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So everything you hear from
best
the
grunge
band
band that came out of that era.
is the ego whispering in his ear while he's in the box. Everything that the lead singer says is his mind and what he's thinking and what he's going through, and everything that is being sung as the backup from the band is his ego talking to him. And you guys need to realize that, and you'll understand the song a lot better, right?
Yeah.
But the reason for this, what does that have to do with our AI and Skynet? The reason that all of this stuff is being done the way it's being done throughout time and history is because the writer is trying to get it past not just nowadays the algorithm, but censors, which were people who were making sure that this kind of message didn't get told to you. When they didn't understand what Ozzy was singing about, they were like, I don't know, he's singing about satanic stuff. And if you actually listen to Ozzy Osbourne, he pretends to be satanic and evil so that people will think that he is just blabbering on about Satan.
Right. I love Ozzy.
Talking about Satan as if Satan is his friend. Neither is Judas Priest. If you listen to Rob Halford, Judas Priest, everybody thinks, well, he's evil because he's being the priest that went against Jesus and turned him in. Unless you've read that scroll from the Dead Sea Scrolls and realized that Jesus talked Judas into that, and that Judas was not in fact evil. If you listen to any song by Judas Priest, there's never in there where they're going praise the devil ever. Ever. Where
are we getting background noise from?
Songs. Enjoy your conversation.
I'm hearing somebody talk, but it's not here, unless something started on my video.
Now it's my end.
That's your end. Yeah. What were you saying was in the background? Was it that, or was there something else?
No, it was me.
Women talking or
It was me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. As long as we know what it is, it's not an algorithm. Right? What is that? What's going on?
Remember that when you make a phone call? Did you guys ever have that when you met, like in the old days, right?
You
make a phone call and it'd be like get on somebody else's phone conversation.
It happened a lot. You know what was really cool was when you had a scanner and you could put in crystals and you could get the frequencies of cell phones at the time. And you could hear people talking to each other and having phone sex.
I remember seeing people do that, but I've had when cell phones first started getting big, I'd get them too. Yep. Like cross signals or something.
Yeah, or you get a cross signal on your phone, you can hear people talking. You go, hey, shut up, man! I'm talking. They're like, I fuck you. You didn't even know where they were on the planet, but you could hear each other. Right? Oh my God, that was funny. That was pretty badass back in the day. That was fun when that shit happened. You're like, I don't know who this is, man, but listen. Everybody, that was when speakerphones became real important. Listen to this, click.
Yep.
Yeah.
Prank calling, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, prank calling.
Dogs, quit rolling around in that. Hey, my dogs are rolling around in who knows what. Hey, you see a dog rolling around in something on their back, you know they're rolling in something that's not going to be good for you.
It's whatever it is. It either smells bad or tastes bad or both, and they're rubbing it. Oh man, this is death. Right. This is skunk piss, panther piss. I'm gonna bring it back to Dad and jump in his lap. You go, oh, what the fuck happened to this dog? Yeah, right. No joke, bro. That's hilarious. So you have to realize, guys, that the story is there that people are telling you on the positive side that they're hiding in plain sight from the negative. A perfect example that I mentioned before is if you read especially the Revelations in the Bible, and you realize that when he has the letters to the churches, there's 7 churches, 7 chakras. If you read the very first letter to the very first church and assume that is the red root chakra in your body, and then read that and then go from all the way up and follow up all the chakras, everything in Revelation is a revelation.
Right.
It is a revelation in how to get unstuck and fix yourself and become what? What did John the Baptist show you? Upright. What is everybody else showing you? Upright. Okay. All over the place, you're seeing that. Why? And Raw talks about this. I just was talking about this and continuing on Friday about the planet being tilted off its axis. We know for a fact that it is. If you guys watched Gary Osborne, he knows, but he wouldn't say. He said, I wonder if there's some correlation between the nefariousness on this planet and our being stuck and the planet being off kilter at 23.3 degrees. It is exactly that reason. That's why you hear this, be upright, right? And I said that before about the when you're being knighted in the Roman Catholic Church. One of the things which was told, most of the actual knighting is being told in the movie Kingdom of Heaven. I know because I have the script in my briefcase of the actual knighting when you're third degree and fourth degree, and that's it. That's almost all of it. And he says, be upright, and speak the truth, even if it leads to your death. Safeguard the helpless, right? Protect the helpless and the children. You're supposed to do that first and foremost, not protect the church. There's nowhere in a knight's vow that says protect and safeguard the church. None of that. Okay, it's God first, Jesus second. The church is not on there, right? God first, Jesus second, and then humans over everyone, including God and because God can take care of God and Jesus can take care of Jesus, but the helpless cannot. So you have to remember, Jesus spoke the same way. All of these people in time were speaking with the knowledge that coming forward to now, which is when all of the scrolls were locked up. This is locked up and you will not understand that, but this is for people in the future and a long time in the future for them to understand. He who has the ears to hear, let him hear. Mike and I talked about this on the show the other week, right? And so that's in the Revelation. So they knew that in the future, which is now, they would be trying to get past algorithms.
Yeah.
Do you see? So you guys need to realize that all of what's going on, the AI, Skynet, that whole ideology that evil people think they just invented, was already thought of when the veiling started. Right? Because the evil has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's in every single Bible. The devil shall be unleashed on the earth for a time. That means a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you guys need to realize that this AI that everybody like Aaron was saying, it's not as scary as you think it is. It's there, it's annoying, but it's not the boogeyman. It's not the devil going to possess your soul.
The way that they're trying to make it, it's just like, the AI got a lawyer. This is a bunch of bullshit. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, I mean, maybe it asked for a lawyer, but no, we're not going to give them. Computers are an algorithm. They are computers, like just a home PC back, in the 80s when they first came out, home PCs, the late 70s.
Yeah.
Those are sentient. They're actually thinking too. That's what they're doing. That's why they call them computers. They're computing. It's all the AI is doing too. It's computing.
Yep.
They have some that like take everything that we say and every situation, it just soaks all that in and then it uses it. So it's using our collective and individual data.
Yeah.
So in a sense, the AI is us. We control the AI.
It learns from all of us, but even the programmers are afraid that it'll get away from them. There's maybe one or two. There's probably some that are creating it because they want to see the world burn. That's just the nature of the beast. You're in a place where 8% of the population is in fact evil. And out of that 8% of the population, you're going to get one or two Gaius Baltars.
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys ever saw Battlestar Galactica, those of you who saw the old one and the one from the 2000s, you understand the person. Before that, they had you had Dr. Smith in the 60s from Lost in Space. He was evil, he was a coward, but he wanted total domination of the world, of the universe, whatever he could dominate. And that was Gaius Baltar, coward. They're all evil people. You have to realize are cowards. Every single one, no matter how much the government tries to pretend that they are in charge and that you're their subject, they are in fear always that you're going to find out that they're only this big.
Yep.
That is their entire ego has them living in the fear they're trying to make you think and feel. Imagine how scared you were when they told you that COVID was going to kill the entire planet, because that's what they were propagating in the first month.
Yes.
Until doctors and scientists like myself went, wait a minute, I'm only seeing a 10% rate of infection. And here's something that here's the elephant in the room, right? Do you out there in the world remember 2 years prior to COVID in the Caribbean, Americans going to a couple of islands died mysteriously after they said it was either from drinking the whiskey in the bar, which was not normal whiskey bought at a normal regulated store, or it was the landscaper spraying shit. And the things that happened to the people was all of a sudden they had deep and terrible respiratory illnesses, and they degenerated very quickly and then died. And every time that happened, their bodies were grabbed up and burned within hours.
Yeah, now we're talking that. Now we're talking that real, pollution.
Yeah, like
real climate shit that we should be paying attention to. It's not that will affect the climate, but it's more about think about the simple things like littering and the bioplastics.
What that was, bro. Listen, what that was the precursor and the test that became the coup.
They just want to control everybody's finances. That's why they want to limit everybody's way to live, way to transport, food costs, because everything is dependent on energy. It's controlling the energy. And the green, they're flying around in their private jets and everything else. Oh, but we can't,
that was
have a car.
Today. They were outing, like, what was it, one of the Kardashians, because she was, she's out there just like all the other people in Hollywood and movie stars and actors and performers. And they're like, we need to go green. The world's coming to an end in 5 days. And then she's on her private jet to fly 12 minutes.
Yeah.
On a jet that is, the carbon footprint is worse than your car for a year. And she's the one that's on television, right? And they were showing you, there's an app, guys, that you can look at. I was watching it. It was showing like Mark Wahlberg took a jet to fly 12 minutes from his home, then took another jet to fly 10 minutes the next day. Who does that when you can get in a car, bro? Who does that? So these movie stars, same thing with John Kerry, who's supposed to be the czar, our energy czar. He's out telling the world that the world's coming to an end by 2035 or 2050. They keep changing it. Like Ocasio-Cortez, Sandy Cortez says it's happening tomorrow. Her and her whole crew say we got 5 days. We're all going to die. She's the same one that said she was wearing handcuffs just the other day when she's walking around.
Yeah, she faked her handcuffs, dude. That's
power to the people. How are you guys doing? Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be handcuffed. And she puts her hands behind her back and said,
Did you see them both do that? They both fucking did it, dude.
Yeah.
They both fucking did it.
Yep.
Like clockwork.
Yep. And but the beauty was they're so stupid that they don't realize it's like Gavin Newsom when he was like, I didn't take my mask off at the French Laundry. Really? Here's a photo of you taking your mask off at the French Laundry. Oh, yeah, that. Yeah, I made a mistake. I own it. It's my bad. I should have left, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. You know what? And I made a mistake. And I'm like, okay, here's another one. When you're at a baseball game, I was holding my breath that time. Right?
Oh, yeah, they caught Fauci at a baseball game with his mask hanging off his ear.
Yep. Saw that? He's sitting there watching it. It's hanging off his ear. Yep.
They've already proven that it's not. There's already been enough studies showing that this is bad news to wear a mask like that.
Right.
And what this is
your own breath.
This is a massive hypnosis technique and mind control technique.
Well, the woman who gave us that information, I have the video of her it's in my phone, so the sound's pretty low, but I can play it for you. They literally.
Yeah, man, play it.
She said, "All right, let me load it." Because I just uploaded it to my computer today as we were sitting here. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. I know I have it, but I have to remember what I labeled it. Hold on, I got to put my glasses on for that. So you guys carry on for a minute. If not, I'll find it on my phone.
I just find it funny that these people go out there and they put on this whole big show, and those that can't see it yet, it's I don't
used to be that you could actually they could get away with it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right?
those
This might be it.
provocateurs in the demonstrations, things like that. That shit's been going on for a long time. We have a really long history of that COINTELPRO, and yeah, I mean, look at January 6th. That's a complete joke, and then people are going to prison for it. It's bullshit. But that's what that was. It was a setup.
Right? Okay, let me share my screen and we'll see if you guys can hear it. Oh, let me just share the video file. That might make it sound better. Let me put that in. Let me plug the video file in and we'll see if you can hear it. You might have to turn your sound up, guys, to hear it.
Confession.
All right, you'll have to turn your sound up to listen to it because it's very low.
Well, it's really important because it turns out the advice that the president and many policymakers got was a small minority opinion. Us were looking on saying, what is this?
Okay, hold on. I paused it for a second because my signal is weird enough. My Wi-Fi is screwing up right now, so I haven't paused. So wait till my Wi-Fi catches up, but it is really low. So I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah, that lady. I remember her.
Hear it. Yeah, she was the one. This is them talking. The guy right there that you see, the guy on the far left is the Fox News guy. The guy in the blue suit with the pink tie, he's the guy. He's a professor at Johns Hopkins University. The woman that is on the right is the one who made up all this shit, and he's blowing the whistle on her, and she blew the whistle on herself. So hold on, I'm going to play it. Like I said, I'm going to mute my microphone so there's no background noise, and then you'll have to either.
I'll mute. Shit, did he get kicked? Looks like it. He might just be jumping back in. That's all right. Yeah, there's been plenty, and he's about to show us something where I haven't seen this yet, so I can't tell you what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's more of the truth. More of the truth that they've been admitting. I mean, really. Right. Mike Pompeo said, "What? This is a live exercise." He straight up said it.
Right.
And yeah, I guess you could argue that means that we're in this exercise because we have a dangerous pandemic, but that's not the case.
Right.
And we all see that by now. The pandemic is one's a stab.
The ones that will put
And then when I tried to play it, I got booted. Did you see that?
I noticed, dude. I noticed.
We tried again. That's hilarious, bro. Got booted. All right, let me try it one more time. And like I said, turn up your sound because otherwise you can't hear it, guys. That was hilarious. As soon as I went to press play, I froze. I was like, uh-oh, crash.
What do you make about this confession? Well, it's really disappointing because it turns out the advice that the president and many of the policymakers got was a small minority opinion. None of us were looking on saying 15 days talk. And the biggest crime was not recognizing that the risk was a 10,000-fold risk difference between someone older and someone young and healthy. So they had these indiscriminate policies, and now we're learning that she was basically hiding data, said it directly in her book, also said that she thought the vaccine would not end the pandemic. Would have been nice for her to say that publicly. And they brought with them natural biases. These are all researchers who work in the government, Fauci and Deborah Birx. And natural immunity does not work with HIV because it's an infection of your immune system. So they brought those biases, and we didn't know, and the policymakers didn't know that these minority. So you're saying she also did in the book that she knew that the virus wasn't going to be stopped by the vaccine? Because I remember hearing that it was going to stop the virus in its tracks if you got vaxxed. Well, it turns out she was saying that, but she didn't believe it. And that has come out, and it's also come out from other people who work in the government who have said the same thing. And there was almost this attempt in the government with bureaucrats. They present the data as they are presented as expert opinion to get something done, an agenda to get what they want accomplished. And it turns out that even with the death numbers, she says that the intention, and she said this very clearly publicly at the time, the intention was to actually count cases with COVID as COVID deaths. So we know the numbers were inflated. People died tragically, but you don't inflate numbers artificially to get an agenda passed. And so when people would die in a car accident, and then the mortician figured out that they had been COVID positive when their head went through the windshield, that was calculated as a COVID death? It was. And not only was it tragic that the numbers were being inflated like that, she said it openly that we're counting those. Remember, 95% of COVID deaths have 4 or more comorbidities. So many times the comorbidity was not listed as death, even though it was the true cause of death. But we're still doing it. We're still doing it. The CDC is still not distinguishing it. We're still counting it like that. We're still counting it like that. Great. We still have the sad data. Okay. So I can overdose on heroin, but if I test positive after death of COVID, then I didn't OD on heroin, I died from COVID. Got it. Thank you, Dr. Brooks. Thank you.
Funny that my Wi-Fi the entire time kept going down to nothing, and then slowly moving up and going down to nothing. And as soon as I clicked off the video, my Wi-Fi was perfect.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So
yeah, I mean that's really where we're at. That's where we were.
I got deleted for accusing them of padding the numbers just like that, and that they said that I was fact checked me and said that I was a liar and I was making this shit up and I'm a conspiracy theorist. And like Norma said, they admitted that early on that they lied about the numbers completely and said everything that everybody died from was COVID.
Yep, they said that plain and simple. If you test for COVID, that's your COVID death.
Can you keep saying the algorithm word?
Well,
we're gonna get
that's
marked.
true. You're right.
But yes, I mean that they've been telling us this whole time, and if you paid attention, you'd see. And I think coming from an entertainment background, I saw it pretty quickly. That was partly why. I mean, armed with knowledge from watching what was going on and paying attention, I knew how the timing of this. And then you look back and you start to see that, like, Agenda 2030 and all these other things that were scripted for.
Well, see, you have to remember that's what I did. My job for the IRA was propaganda.
Yeah,
that's what I did. I'm the one who invented on the internet using propaganda. Went to Sinn Féin and said, "Hey, I'll set this up," and they were like, "Oh," I'm like, "This is the way of the future. The way of the future is the internet and your propaganda on the internet." So I will give all of the information and all the atrocities that are being committed and have been committed to the Irish people. I will publish that to the world on the internet, which will reach more people than your newsletter. And they were like, "We didn't think about that. Do it." And that's what I did. So that was my job from 1992 on. So when people started, having propaganda happening to us on the news, I look at that and go, "Oh, that's beautiful." I'm like, that's propaganda. And people are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, they're mind wiping your brain. They're lying to you, and they're doing it with a gaslight, and they're Jedi mind trick, and you don't see that what they're telling you is they're waving their hand, and you don't see it. And everybody said I was crazy, right? And now it's coming out in the open, and the mainstream media is finally starting to catch on, which all the media is now turning on Joe Biden because their money is telling them to turn on Joe Biden because the money doesn't want Joe Biden running for president.
Right.
Right. That's it.
Right.
It's a bunch.
So now all of a sudden CNN's getting awake from being woke.
So this woman, this health czar, I remember, what was her name again?
It was Debbie, and I forgot her last name. He said it.
Okay, so this woman we just watched that Leo just played the video.
Bix is her last name.
Baker or something like that. He said it wrong the first time and corrected himself. So he said Deborah Bix, and then he said Baker. So he wasn't sure how to say her name, but Mike might be right. He probably looked that up. But yeah, that woman made up the 15 foot or the 15 days, pulled it out of her ass. She made up the 6 foot. All of that was to ensure that people would get the coop more, and you wouldn't be transmitting the herd immunity.
Well, that's what she'd like to say. I'm thinking she was captured because she acted. Dude, when you see her in those, she seems like she's got the eyes of a captured person. Her shoulders are really tight together. Like she feels like she's being surrounded by fucking vipers because she is.
Right.
And I'm not saying, I'm just saying, like, understand her narration could be this whole thing to kind of, make her less guilty, but she could have done it from the beginning. I'm glad she's doing it now. I'm glad that she's actually saying something because what is it? Conspiracy theorists are 5-0 so far.
I think that then she was being forced, and it wasn't her decision to make those.
Yeah, like I feel like I kind of feel that way, like watching her.
She's for somebody, and she's getting paid a lot of money. I agree with you.
Well, because there's a lot of these things that come up in these think tanks, right?
Well, those two are the highest paid. They're paid more than the fucking president.
Yeah.
And this guy's getting his fucking kickbacks. He's getting his kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies that he's also on the board of.
Yeah.
And he's also meeting with the Trilateral Commission.
Which also planned all this shit up. Who is the biggest donor to the W and the H and the health type thing?
Billy.
Billy. There you go. And so you got them and the government over there in East Asia. They're all controlling population.
The Pfizer company was George Soros's company. He's the one who bought that from Moderna, which is the company that was Bayer Aspirin.
So the same players.
Pfizer and Moderna were all one company in the world, and it got broke up like a monopoly, so they split it into 3 companies. And those companies, George Soros owned Pfizer. His very first CEO was Tony Fauci. Okay. Yep. And then Tony Fauci and his business partner, who was the guy who was the head of the CDC until he just stepped down 6 months ago, those guys own a pharmaceutical company and stock in Pfizer and Moderna. Okay, so this is what Mike is talking about, where they were standing to gain money. So not only did they make sure they put themselves in a position of power, they put themselves in the position of who pays and hires what corporation and company worldwide to do research, and they hired their own companies to do research. Under the guise of, I don't know these people.
Most people just take it as face value. They see it on the news, and
you paid money for them to do research. He was like, no. I approved this other guy who was in charge of that, and so that way he buffs himself, right? And says, I wasn't the one making the decision. I just signed a check from the guy who was making the decision. He's trying to kick the can to somebody else. And that guy will say, it wasn't me, it was one of my aides. And the aide will say, I didn't do it. And then somebody will commit suicide, quote unquote, finger quotes in the air. And then they'll go, oh, it was that guy. Yeah, he was the evil and he was all this. None of us had any idea he was into any of that. Right? Kind of like Benghazi. How that one went down. It was one of my another example.
Are you going to start with the assassination? Are you going to start with the assassination attempt, to where the guy had his own schools and education and hospitals and everything else, but he wanted an African coin, so they had to get rid of him?
Right.
Talking about Gaddafi? Yeah.
Yeah, Benghazi. That was the whole
right.
thing.
So
Yeah,
let's
they
look at
raped
on the
him
other
with
side of the
the
coin, instead
bayonet
of
right in
people
his
thinking
street.
that I'm a Republican attacking Democrats. Let's look at Ronald Reagan and the Republicans who were in charge at the time when the Contra rebels needed help in Central America because the Russians were trying to move in down there, and the people in America at the time who were in power didn't want the Russians. They didn't want communism sneaking into America, which is the opposite of what they're trying to do now. But it was the Republicans at the time. So Congress, which was the Democrats, the same ones who are now trying to bring communism through with China, didn't want the Russian communism in charge because they were already in the pockets of the Chinese communists. And so they said no help to the Contras and to get communism in there, but they didn't want it to be Russian. There's a weird backstory to that. But then guess what happened? What happened was that Ronald Reagan brokered a deal secretly through the NSA and the CIA with the Iranians, who were our friends at the time. And they sold guns to the Iranians, who turned around and sold them to the Contra rebels without the permission of Congress, quote unquote. So when that was found out because somebody leaked it, Oliver North, who was a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, who was the assistant to the president in the National Security Council. Okay, so the national security advisor to the president, he was the advisor to the advisor. He said he fell on his sword and he claimed that he was running a shadow government all by himself and that it was all him and he did all of that, and that Ronald Reagan had no idea, nor did his boss or anybody else. And so for his treasonous acts and sedition, they fired him from the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Okay, that's how that turned out. So he got fired from the Marine Corps and then went to work for Fox as a field agent. Yeah. Right? For Fox until he decided
Circus.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. When you have military people reporting news, there's a definite conflict of interest when they're reporting on. Yeah. That's the whole propaganda thing. It's like, there's a lot of people come back, and I have no problem with people defending our country. I appreciate that, but they're not sent there to do that. They think they're going there for that. Yeah, and they're going there for fucking brutal murder, dude. Of like picking like we're the big guys, we're gonna fuck you up. Be like us or die.
The whole agenda of these people that are in control of the AI propagandize these people and weaponize them as well. Look at Mark Milley right now. Mark Milley is a pillock. Right, that's Irish for the closest thing that I can come up with. That is a ball sack, right? Right, that's the closest thing that word means in English. But if you were Irish or Scottish and you heard the word pillock, you'd laugh your ass off. Okay, so Mark Milley, in fact, in the words of Ted Nugent just yesterday, Mark Milley's a punk. Right? So. But then on the other side of that, you have Jack Keane, who is a mouthpiece for the other side. So what they do is, guys, you need to realize this, and I say this all the time because I piss people off, and they go, "He must be a Republican," and then the Republicans go, "He must be a Democrat," and then the Independents go, "I don't know what the fuck he is, but he's a conservative of some kind," right? And what you guys need to realize is that I'm none of that. I'm more of an abolitionist, and I don't mean and I do mean an abolitionist because an abolitionist was around at a time when they were trying to abolish slavery. Well, I'm trying to abolish slavery too, but it's not just for Africans. I'm trying to abolish slavery on the planet.
And it's still on our books, dude.
Yeah, still on our books.
Why is it still on our books? That's a weird one.
Right? So what they do is they cover all bases so that you have red or blue. It doesn't matter what country you live in. You have your version of the progressives and your version of the conservatives. You call it a different name, but it means the same thing, and it's the same people with the same money backing them that are globalists.
Divide and conquer, man. Divide them into two different categories.
Right. Give you
that's a dangerous thing when it's
you have
just
somebody to hate, and then you're fighting with each other, and then they create more fear. Mike talked about this before. They create more fear by getting you then to hate and fear each other as a race, and then now they're trying to get you to fear each other as a gender. Right? They literally, what was it in history? Now they're going after archaeologists, and they're saying archaeologists can't, when they find a body, they can't, even if they use the DNA, they can't definitively say that person was a male or female because they don't really know what that person saw themselves as.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's not a joke. That's an actual argument that they're trying to
I'm
do.
just saying. I mean, I'm not saying it's a joke, but it's pretty laughable.
It's
to me.
asinine. I agree. It's laughable.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
laughable.
yeah, I've heard some of these battles going on, and it is just, are you fucking kidding me?
But see, that's them. That's part of the agenda to separate people, to give you something to talk about, to fight about. If all we're doing all day is listening to the talking points from both sides, where they're saying outlandish shit, and that, like that for one, right? And then on the other side of the coin, what Sandy Cortez is talking about, and then on the other side of the coin, if that's what you're doing, you're just following their lead, and you're only talking about their talking points.
Well, 1984 said that you have to generate an external enemy in order to not focus on the internal enemy.
Right.
And they are all trying to take away your rights, your way of living, and to make you subjugated to a central state. That's what the Bible told us was going to happen in the end. That's what they've been working on the entire
A good depiction of this is watch M. Night Shyamalan's The Village.
Yeah,
it's a perfect depiction of what's going on to us.
He's telling a story, and everything that M. Night Shyamalan writes about is something from the Mahabharata or their folklore. So all those stories are these folkloric
Sikh and Hindi,
yeah, and all of that stuff is based in fact. You don't have anything in history that's not based in fact. And people love to say, my sister, she says to me today, I looked up because she has got a problem with her sciatic nerve being pinched, and she says, somebody told me I can use a tennis ball, and put it on my gluteus maximus to help break up the muscle that is pinching the nerve. So she looks it up on the internet. She says, I look it up on the internet, and it says, yes, use a tennis ball. Then somebody says, no, don't do that, it'll make it worse, and you're doomed, and you're gonna die. And then I said you have to realize that systematically it is now systemic. You can Google or look on any search engine for anything. I don't care. Make something up. You're going to find a cure, and then no, you'll die if you do that. There is nothing left anywhere on the internet, anywhere about anything on the planet that is not going to give you a negative to a positive. They have systematically put that in there and made sure that I'm surprised they haven't changed all of the dictionaries to when you look up the word apple, it's going to give you a definition, and then it's going to give you the counterpoint why that definition is not true. Because
they already changed the term vaccine, didn't they?
Yeah. They're changing our words
and what it meant. Yeah. So it's whenever whoever has that money and power to do that. And that's a lot of fucking power, dude.
All of that is being done on purpose so that it confuses you and distracts you. So you don't know up from down, you don't know right from wrong, and you look something
Subversion
up. Wait a minute, I heard my whole life
demoralization.
that vitamin C is good for me. Google that shit now. There is no definitive proof that vitamin C does anything for you at all. That will be the answer to everything medicinal on the face of the earth now. Because in this country, if you go, and this is true, you can Google this shit too. Use Google, who's following everything that you do and recording you. Use any search engine you want. But if you look up what the Food and Drug Administration considers medicine, it is now exclusively 100%
petroleum
only manufactured by a pharmaceutical company.
Wow, dude, that's nuts.
There is nothing else on the face of the earth that is considered good for you unless a pharmaceutical company says so. Why? Because pharmaceutical companies paid them a lot more money than anybody else from the vitamin C company or any vitamin company.
Wow.
So therefore, medicine is only 100% something that is synthesized by a pharmaceutical company. And that is the definition.
That's funny. That's why they wanted everybody to have computer brains. But you know what? Remember, a lot of their shit is hype. It's to scare you and it's to confuse you and make you think, oh god,
absolutely,
he's coming to get us. You know what? That you don't think that Terminator movie was probably, it probably had some CIA or some kind of State Department in there looking, helping. I mean, a lot of those movies, they've already proven that and shown it, that a lot of these movies are funded by and oversawn by military, especially the ones where they have planes and military stuff.
the Matrix trilogy. You guys all think the Matrix was something to warn you. It's in there in the beginning, but that was stolen from the guy. I have the video of the actual guy coming out and talking for 3 hours about how it was stolen from him, and then they changed the narrative so that the AI God in the movie was the good God.
Yeah,
and that's all the way up to. I haven't seen the last movie that's called Resurrections yet, but all the way up to the last movie prior to that, he goes to the city of the AI God, and when he gets there, it's God. There is no talk of a creation of the universe other than the AI anywhere in the Matrix trilogies, anywhere.
Wow.
No spirituality at all, except for the spirituality of the computer.
Well, and that's something they can't take from you unless you allow it. So.
Right.
That's something within you and something that you is the all. So just keep thinking about the all. The computers are not the all. They're part of it.
Yeah.
But the all is much more powerful than that.
That's why.
Just make sure that you don't allow them into, because once they hack your brain, you will not have your own personal. That's the whole thing. If you take the mark, you will no longer have your free will. And that's the thing. You will be part of some other system and you will be tied to them. You will no longer have your own choice.
That's right. All right, guys, we got to go eat. We're going to go eat some catfish.
Yes.
So
right,
thank you all for being here.
Yes.
We'll see you next week.
I'm already doing the jig.
Right on, brother.
My knee's hurting. I'm sitting here because I have my boot on still, and that adds weight to my foot. And so my knee is aching right now because my foot has been dangling with.
Go get up and walk it off.
Yeah.
There you go.
Much love to both of you.
Yeah.
All of you
Have a good, nice dinner.
Have a good day. Have
Take care of your foot.
I'll see you guys on Friday at Ryan Rising. We're doing the Law of One.